Hello and welcome. I'm Luca Deriu from 3D Architettura, and today I want to have a first look at Corona Renderer. I just installed the software and I activated it. I have this simple scene on projects that I'm working on, and I set up the renderer. So it's here, Corona Renderer 1.2. As I told you, I already activated my license. I'm using the demo license, and well, let's see how it works. As first, I noticed that we don't have the Corona cameras here. When I tried to create a new camera, I had to use one of the 3ds Max cameras. Here I'm using a 3ds Max 2016, so I can benefit of the physical camera that gives me the possibility to work with the exposure value, but no Corona cameras here, so the physical can be used from 3ds Max. I placed a couple of lights, and here, yes, in the light we have the rollout with the Corona renderer lights. And we have just two lights instead of other software where we have multiple of them. We have the Corona light, that is the main light that you can use, and the Corona sun, that is more specific. We can say that one is for indoor and the other is for outdoor, even if you can do, the indoor with the Corona sun and the outdoor with treat it like a studio with artificial lights. If you're looking for IES light, they are here. They are a sub-option of the Corona light. So you can apply here an IES file, and the Corona light contains the various shapes, so like sphere, rectangle, disc, cylinder, and so on. You can define the size, the directionality, and here there are some options. It reminds me V-Ray, where you have the option to make the light visible or invisible from reflection, refraction, you can include and exclude, and so on. So the light is here. When you create the Corona sun, I just want to show you, if I create a sun, and it's different from the other plugin when you define how high it should be. However, when you create, he doesn't ask you if you want automatically to create the environment. I'm talking about this one, the sky. But you have to press on Add Corona Environment, and then it will be created. Remember that when you delete the sun, you always have to delete the sky. At least if you don't want to use the sky, of course. I was checking for Corona here in the atmosphere, if we have some Corona atmosphere volumetric element, or in the effect, if we have something specific from Corona renderer, and no, we don't. Well, I was going to create materials, so let's open the material editor and let's see what is here inside. By default, the material is Arc and Design. Let me double check if I activate Corona Renderer. Yeah, it's activated. So here we can create the various shaders. We have Corona Light for light emitter, for full bright object. Corona MTL, like the universal shader capable to describe car paint and hairs, fur, skin, water, ice, whatever we want to create with this. Probably in future there will be some more specific shaders. At the moment we have this. Corona Portal, it sounds like a portal. In V-Ray, the portal is an option of a light. Yes, of course, it sounds like a portal. It's the name of the material, and it will work like for optimizing the scene. Corona Ray Switch, this I have no idea. Yeah, it's here. Corona Ray Switch. It's a specific material when you need to apply different shader for different behavior according to the ray type. So a shader for the global illumination, one for the reflection, and so on. So we can optimize properly the scene or obtain very specific special effects. Corona Shadow Catcher, the name, it's cool. It's catching the shadows. So it's the matte shadow material, the one that is represented transparent but store the shadows and the ambient occlusion, I think, information inside the alpha channel. So this will be very useful for compositing your render on Photoshop later, or changing the background. Corona Volume Material, it's for volumetric material, volumetric object. So probably here we can create fog effect or object absorbing light, like specific subsurface scatter effect. We don't have so many parameters, so I wonder how we can describe all the object with few parameters, but I'm quite confident in the software, so I think it will be possible. So let's check with Corona MTL here. I'm going to assign it to all the objects, and well, this room is very specific because I don't know what. Well, I don't have round objects, you know, so this is my special object that I want to see how it works, and I assign it to the bed and here to this chair. So just to see, it's a cartoon scene, but we can obtain good results. So I think that now if I'm going to render, everything will be fine, like this one. You see, everything is gray. It's quite fast. My scene, what I'm rendering is not so huge, it's 800 by 450, but you can see how it's going to clean. It looks like brute force, now progressive path tracing method, unbiased mode. So it will clean forever this image. I notice here in the virtual frame buffer that I can't define a specific region, like it happened with V-Ray, and I really like that option. It's very useful, where I can track the mouse and, or better, the renderer tracks the mouse. So when I move the mouse, he's cleaning, he's focusing the render algorithm in that specific area. So I can clean this area, then I can move the mouse here and clean this area. Here is not possible. And I don't see also for the region. So I think for doing the region, we need to open the 3ds Max, define here the kind of area we want to render. Let's suppose this region here, and close here, and start the render again. So for sure, yeah, you see, it's rendering just this area, and of course it will be much faster because he has less pixel to compute. So back to the material. Here we can define the color of the object. I suppose if I use a red color, it will be rendered by red. Here we have the preview. With double click I can open, and it requires a few seconds. It's quite grainy. It looks like Maxwell render preview, you know, unbiased mode, and you have to wait the cleaning. Here it stopped in a certain point, so I don't know if we can change this quality of the preview. In this state of the development version 1.2, I don't know if it already exists, but I think it can be useful to speed up this process or to slow down the process and have better quality. So we have reflection, and I can have one, and one is the maximum, so it's normalized value, and with one as a reflection, when I'm going to render, the object will be reflecting. Now, because I don't have a round object, it's difficult to see. Just in this part, we can see a little bit of reflectiveness of the object. And I have a quite long experience in rendering and CZ computer graphic, you know. And I used V-Ray, mental ray, iRay, Fry render, Octane render, even Scanline, Brazil render, Final render. So I have a quite long background from 1998, and I have to say that these parameters, they are quite simple because I have reflection group here, refraction group. I see something about opacity that I can't wait to try, and that's it. Something advanced option, self-illumination, something more specific here. Round corners is an option that you have in mental ray. Sometimes it can be useful, depending on how lazy you are when you are modeling and doing the double edges and the hard edge modeling for turbo smooth. Volumetric absorption, so this probably is the extension for subsurface scattering. As I was saying, just two parameters, it looks not so much to me, but probably they found a way to converge all the parameters, all the useful parameters in just these two or four values, so it can be interesting. Now I have a shiny plastic, and if I increase here the Fresnel, I don't know, 100 probably, let's see which is the maximum value. 999 is the maximum value to have a metallic looking object. Now I use 2 just to have a better result. Yeah, the renderer is quite fast. Yeah, you can see how it's shiny. and very glossy. Here glossiness is to 1 by default. I think it should be related with the optimization. You know, when it's 1, I think also this number is normalized. So let me try something higher. Yes, 1 is maximum. So 1 means totally glossiness. 0, I strongly suggest not to use, but is totally roughness. If we use 0.5, we have 50% glossiness. And I think this can be for optimization, even if for unbiased renderer and not ray traced. I don't know if it's really speeding up and slowing down the glossiness value. You know, in V-Ray, for example, when you decrease the glossiness, the render time is longer. Actually, it's not natively longer. It's just longer because it requires more time to be cleaned, because you need more subdivision. Here we don't have the subdivision, so I think it's not related with the quality of that and the speed. So yeah, here we have the glossiness actually. And I want to see if, well, also the refraction I think is normalized. So 1, it means total refraction, and caustics, so the object can cast his proper shadow and caustics all around. I have the red color. I don't know if the color will be used. Actually, it shouldn't, and in fact it's not. You see the color, the diffuse color is not anymore used because the light is passing through, the rays are passing through. So if we want to colorize a glass, we have to use the refraction color or the volume color. You know, when the light stops passing and being absorbed in one object, we can see the real color of the object. And this glass, now I interrupt, I will not be so long in this glass, but it looks quite promising. It looks quite, you see here the thickness, and well, again, the object is not so smooth, but the result can be very interesting. So the material, well, it's interesting that we don't have so many parameters. I will check here how it looks more in depth, and I will be back in touch on this. Other stuff related with the engine that I want to see are here inside the core, inside the heart of the engine, where we have scene, performance, and system. One question for you. Did you find a way to reduce this top part of the user interface? Because since I installed 3ds Max 2016, I have this higher part where I can define the render engine that I'm going to use. And actually, I don't care because I have to set it up just once in my production. And I would like to save this space here on the top so I can have more space for my parameter that I'm continuously tweaking. So if you find out a method to reduce this area, please share it with me here in the comment. It would be very useful and very appreciated. Thank you. So the scene, I told you here the common is the same in all the renderer, and here we have a show, virtual frame buffer, start interactive. This is cool because it means that actually when I move the object, when I interact with the scene, the software is continuously rendering, so it's starting from 0 every time that I move my objects, and it's very cool. Then we have save virtual frame buffer. This is for saving the picture, and probably it will save in 32-bit per channel AXR. And inside the virtual frame buffer, he's saving some specific extra information to resume the render. So let's suppose I start the render now. In 1 hour, I interrupt, and tomorrow I can restart from the point where I interrupted the render. This is really amazing. And I haven't resumed last render, so now it will start from the beginning, I think, because I changed my glass material and I reactivated all the picture. But this also can be very useful because it's rendering again the scene, and looks like we found a bug. So I resumed the render, but I changed the region that I was rendering, and he's not rendering all the picture. So if I start render, yeah, I found this limitation. So, well, if you are developer of Corona renderer, now you know that there is this bug. So I worked as a tester, and well, if you are a user, remember not to swap that render mode. But what I was telling you is related to this resume last render. So when I press, you have the feeling that it's starting from the beginning, because it's always start from the pass number 1, but it's pass number 1 for him, not for the solution level of our scene. And you see that he is not starting from the beginning, and he's progressively cleaning this scene. I'm talking about progressive because outside of this option here as camera exposure and scene explorer, in the performance we have this progressive mode and path tracing. So for global illumination, the only solver we have is the path tracing. We don't have other solver. And secondary solver, I see here this acronym UHD cache and HD cache. I have no idea of what they mean, but I will inspect more in depth in the next hours and next days using some real project, because I really want to see how this promising renderer will behave in production. At the moment everything is sparkling, and I have to say that the user interface is quite catching and appealing. Also, I really love this fact. If I leave the mouse over one option, you see the tooltip appears and everything is described quite properly. So I think in future I will develop some courses, you know, for online training and tutorial, but this can help you at the beginning to to break the ice and understand what is happening under the hood here. We have developer experimental stuff, and I can't wait really to experiment with them. And here the system with the license, some specific option, the frame buffer with the render stamp. This reminds me really a lot the V-Ray settings, but I mean in V-Ray they work quite nicely, so why they shouldn't be developed in another engine. Also, I want to say that we are using Corona Render 1.2, and we are having amazing results. It looks like I'm using something like V-Ray 2.3, or I'm using Maxwell 3, or some next-gen engine, and this is just the beginning of this renderer. So I think these guys are, they really rock in the development. Last stuff that I wanted to see are special objects that we don't have. The camera we already said that we don't have, the light we have, the dimensional we don't have. Here, the corona. I was looking for this. We have C fractal, corona fractal. Well, they are objects, very specific objects. Now, I don't need to save it, but if I use corona fractal, I'm having a sphere. Mandelbox reveals. So we have some kind of object generator, that we can use for testing and debugging our scene. Now it's difficult to see what is going to happen, but if I'm placing one light on the top of this, I can see here, this is the secondary GI, so he's pre-computing what is going to happen, and this green color we already saw in other render engine. I don't want to be redundant with other render engines. Yeah, it's very cool. It's kind of rock generator, actually. This is not a rocket. It looks, well, it's a fractal, so it's more complex. It's mathematically defined, so it's voxelized and very interesting. And also we have the corona object. What I was looking was the corona proxy. So if I create one object, it's a flat proxy, and I have my teapot, right? I can select my proxy and tell him pick from scene. This is teapot. And it's already done. So I have my proxy here, I can instantiate them. And if I render, one object is in the scene and the other 4 arrive from the external file. So this is very cool for vegetation, because we can add million of objects inside the scene quite easily. And the last but not least is the Corona proxy. No, sorry, I just used Corona scatter, that is used for scattering the object. So this is like multi-scatter. So soon we don't need specific plugins, extra plugin for our productions, because we have here the Corona scatter. So in Corona scatter, distribute on object. Which one? I was here. Distribute on plane. Instantiated object, so who, the teapot, and that's it. So render. Yeah, it's amazing. So it can be, we have here different method to scatter the object. We can avoid collision to avoid penetration between objects. We have a random transformation in rotation, translate, and scale. So we can have something like this. We can increase the amount. We have a random seed for the position, and we have for the density here for sure we can apply a texture. So probably we can use inside 3ds Max we have the viewport canvas. We can paint a black and white texture here, and whatever is black it will be without the object, and whatever is white will be with the object. So talking about a landscape, you can have the road painted with a black color. Black means 0%, and you don't have the object, and where you have the white or the grayscale object color, you will have the various objects. So it's amazing because we have a renderer, we have the scattering, we have the optimization of the proxy, we have very in-depth fine-tuning option that I can't wait to use, and also we have a roadmap. Now I don't have here on my internet page, but you can check on Trello. They have the account, I think is the Trello Gold, so you can search Corona Render on Trello, and you can find all the various steps, what next in Corona Renderer development. So thank you for watching.